so we're going to make soap. So I've just spent about an hour and a half getting everything ready. And I was going to do this for a long time, but somebody says, "Are you still making soap?" And so with you guys there, it was easy to just do it together. So now I've got everything laid out. We're going to be making lard soap. So the ingredients are going to be water, lye, lard, castor oil to hold the fragrance, and coconut oil so that it is cleansing and bubbly. And it'll be very hard soap. So it's not going to sit in your dish and melt. It's also excellent soap for things like the dishes. It's really good for everything. You can put it in the laundry. I used to put my lye soap in the laundry when I didn't have any soap. So this is made with lard. Regular old tender flake lard. Which seems to last forever. I had one bar for about 15 years. Maybe more. Maybe 18 years. And it was in the cupboard and I used it and it was just fine. So you could also use tallow. You could, take the fat and render it, boil it down. If you want to find out about rendering lard or rendering tallow, I have videos on that. Just search for that. Nancy Today, rendering tallow, rendering beef fat. Okay, so I have to take a break because I've been working very hard at this for a while. And my body is very worn out. But I'm ready. It's going to be great. I planted out my tomato plants this morning. Okay, that is cedar bark, I think, on that one. All right. I shouldn't have started the video yet. I'm going to need a moment to relax. My body hurts. So let me explain the process, okay? Assemble everything. You need a scale, a jar, a wooden spoon or a stainless steel spoon, and a thermometer, a candy thermometer. In that jar, you're going to put it on the scale and reset it to 0. And then you're going to add your water until you have the right amount. And then you're going to put a piece of tape on the jar so you know exactly how much water you actually are going to be needing every time. So you can repeat this over and over, because once you make soap, you want to do it again. Then you're going to need baggies and a container of lye. If you go to the hardware section of home hardware, in the plumbing section, they usually have big containers of lye, 5 pounds or something. But they'll know if you're up to making meth, so forget it. And they won't sell it to you then. But, or they will suspect, unless you're a nice old lady. But you never know, okay? So, so you take your lye, you put a plastic baggie on the scale. And with a plastic measuring container or a stainless steel measuring container, you dip it in and you fill it up until it's almost right, and then you're going to put it in by granule. So you have to go tap, 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 tap. And because you want it exact. You want your water exact and your lye exact. And I would make your lye baggies, I would make like 5 or 10 of them so that they're ready and you can use them when you're ready. And then you've got your oils. So we're going to make 5 pounds. So we've got 5 pounds of lard, 5 of those boxes, those like butter containers. Those, you can use butter, you can use margarine. Margarine not so well though, because there's water and whey in there, so it's not completely just liquid, just oil. You could also use grocery store oil. You could use castor oil, will keep the fragrance in. So you need some of that. The fragrance will flash away if if it's added when it's too hot. And fragrance or your essential oil, it's better to use essential oils. Fragrant oils, people get sick, I think, from them. Even though molecularly they're supposed to be exactly the same. And then, okay, so you've got your water, you measure your water, you measure your lye. Now, you put your lye into the water very slowly, never the opposite. If you pour water into granules of lye, they will each explode and you'll probably get in your eyes and blind yourself. So you never add the water to the lye, you add the lye to the water. You sprinkle it in and it'll start to turn white and bubbly, a little bit bubbly, foamy, and you stir. Make sure it's all dissolved. Have a long enough spoon that you don't get your fingers in it. You stir it and it's going to get hot now. And so you put it out on the railing outside to let the fumes go away. And you've got your candy thermometer. And so in about 15 minutes, you're probably going to start checking to see what the temperature of it is. And it'll go way up high first. I don't know how high it goes. It doesn't boil, but it gets very hot. And so you want to bring it down to about 100. I think we should ask ChatGPT exactly the temperature that it needs to be. She'll know everything. Okay, so we don't have it on here, so we'll go to Google. Okay, so we want a new one, and we're going to ask, let's go to Chat GPT and see if we can just have it there. I wonder if we have to do that. No. Well, anyway, so we have to make sure of our temperature. I would just download it. Let me just download it on this phone over here. Okay. CHAT ChatGPT is free. So after your I can't do this. I don't have his fingerprint. So anyway, okay, Google. Where are you?
I'm stuck inside a device. Help. Just kidding. I like it in here.
Okay, Google. What temperature should the lye water be when you add the oils when you're making homemade soap?
On the website thesoapcoach.co.uk, they say, melt your oils but ensure before adding your lye solution they are below 150 F in temperature. Mix your lye solution up in advance and allow it to room temperature, i.e. 65 to 75 F in most cases.
Oh.
Cook your soap on low.
Oh, 75. Oh, I've been telling people wrong. 65 to 75. I thought it was 100. Okay, well that's a lot cooler. So when your lye cools down to room temperature, 70, then you add your oils. Now your oils in this case, we've got a recipe. I'll show it to you. So you melt your lard. I like to melt it in the microwave. And then you measure your castor oil and put it in with it. And you measure your coconut oil. That'll have to be melted too. You might want to measure your coconut oil into the bowl. And then add the 5 pounds of lard that you want to melt. You melt that all, stir it around. So you've got your 3 oils: castor oil to hold the fragrance, coconut oil to make it cleansing, and lard to fill it up and make it, and it'll be a hard soap. But it'll be creamy and it'll be very good. Like they did in the olden days. In the olden days, they didn't measure exactly the right amount of lye, so sometimes you get very hard lye burns. You get very strong soap. You have to be careful of that. I wonder if that's why my soap didn't work, because it was too warm. I thought 100 was what I needed. I have a soap making book right here. This is weaving. Basket making. Stained glass, tree houses, back to basics, tree identification. Did I give away my soap book? There it is, the Art of Counting Flowers Soap Making Companion. Okay, so we're looking there to be sure. Even though she's one source and that's one source, so. So then what you do is you're adding when the temperature comes down on your lye, then you might want to just put your lye and water together and take it out and let it cool while you're making the rest of your packages of lye. Depends if you ever want to make it again. I want to make a whole bunch. I'm going to make all my fragrances. I have a friend that sells stuff at a craft sale. I think it'd be fun if she sold soap. She could sell it. I used to sell it for $6 a bar, and it cost about $2 a bar to make, or less. Well, let's see, how much would this cost? This is $5, so it's about $25 for the lard, because it's so expensive now. And the lye, I think it used to be $20 for the container, so maybe $5, not even $5, maybe $2 for the lye. So if it was $5, we'll say $30. So that's and if you cut it into 20 bars, so you've got about $1 a bar. Anyway, so it's pretty cheap to make soap, but you can sell it for a lot. Fragrant oils, if you get them from New Directions Aromatics, you can get huge quantities. 1,000 milliliters for $60. Used to be 10 years ago, and now I don't know what it is now, but for a little vial, 5 milliliters, it's probably $5 or maybe 10. So it would be $1,000 for 1,000 milliliters instead of 60. So even if it's 100, you're paying a lot less. Anyway, so I'm all over the place, aren't I? I'm very tired. That's no excuse. This is really great that I'm doing this. When your lye is cool and your mixture of oils is cool, remember when you measure things and you've got them on the scale, put your container on the scale and add to the container, and then reset the container to 0 with the scale. The scale with your container on it is set to 0. Otherwise, you've got a mess there trying to figure out the weight of that, or you'll mess up your soap. So then you add, now this time you add your lye water into your oils, and you add it very slowly like a pencil, that thickness, or pen. And you stir it with your stick blender, and you come up and down a little bit, but don't splatter it all over the place. And don't get it on your hands, because one of those little granule balls, if you touch it to your finger, they'll feel dry, but your finger has moisture, and so it'll burn you. You'll get a hole there, just a little hole, until you wash it off, and the hole stops getting bigger. It's not, if you left it on your hand, that would be bad. But if you just touch it to it, if you have, just flush it with water. Flush anything with water. Some people use vinegar, because vinegar is a base, or an acid, and lye is a base. It's a very, very deep, low base, or high, whatever the base is. It's extreme base. But you can just use water. Water is also will flush it. So you do it with a stick blender for a few minutes, and when you're using lard, it will harden very quickly. So you only have, I don't know if you even have 5 minutes, but it will start to get a trace on it. It'll have a film, not as thick as pudding, but it'll start, it'll get thick, and then it'll get this thing. And when you get to that point, then it's ready. So then you add your fragrance and your color, or you divide it up if you're going to have different colors and fragrances. But that's the point, that you add your food coloring or your fragrant oil. But you can't add that when it's too hot because it'll flash off. Essential oils and fragrant oils have a flash point where when it disappears, it becomes airborne, or anyway, where the smell goes away anyway. And then you, if you want to make cold process soap at this point, you pour your soap into your mold. And I'm going to have to measure my mold first. I'll fill it up with water, and then I'll pour the water into something and see how big it is, how much soap it will hold. I used wooden boxes, and I lined them with that. You can use parchment paper, but you're going to have folds and things that make a problem. And there are plastic molds you can get, different shapes, in the cake decorating section of a baking store. Anyway, but I use, that poster board that's made of plastic with little holes in it all over, like the corrugated plastic. So I use one of them, and I cut it so that it folds. Doot, doot, doot. And then I have little square ends on the bottom to push it up to the place where the end of the soap is. Or it may fill it all the way up. Anyway, so if it's cold process, you pour it into your mold and you leave it for 6 weeks until the lye is no longer active. If you want it to be ready right away, instead you pour it into crock pot, and that makes hot process soap. So in the crock pot, you put it on low, and might want to put it on low first before you start making your soap so it's already ready. Then you put your stuff in there, and it will turn like jello. It'll become clear. The middle part will still have a white chunk. You don't take the top off. You just let it keep going until the whole thing is like jelly all the way through. And then with that, when you're cooking it like that, you don't add your fragrance until the end. You add it right at the end, and you have to work quickly because as soon as you take it out, it solidifies. So you have very little time to play with it. You put it in the mold, and then you bang the mold on the table so the soap goes flat. And then as soon as it's hard, you can cut it and use it. But I would wait. I wouldn't take a shower with it right away. You could wash your hands with it and make sure. But there'll be chunks of soap on the inside of the crock pot, and you can certainly feel them. They're very soapy right away when it's cooked. But when it's cold process, it will burn you. So don't get it on your wrists as you're wiping the container out, or, and the dishes, they usually say not to bother doing your dishes, for 24 hours or something. I do them, but because, it's still active lye. You don't like it to be active because when it's active, it will burn you. So there. Have I told you everything you need to know? Okay, so we're going to have to do this because that's what I said I'm going to do. Oops. Okay, so now I will turn you around. And, first I'll show you the recipe. Now, if you go to soapcalc.net, you can do this. You can figure out how to do this. So this shows you water, lye, oils, fragrance, and the weight before cold process or hot process. So the water we're going to need, this down here tells you the hardness, bubbly, cleansing, conditioning, creamy. Okay, and this is what we're going to use: lard, castor oil, and coconut oil. So this is our measurements. We're going to need that much water, this much lye, so that's 861.82 water, 312.41 lye, and your oils all together are going to add up to that. But so your lard is going to be 1973.13. Your castor oil is going to be 68.04. Your coconut oil is going to be 226.80, which will come to a total of this, 2,267.96. And so this is what you're going to need, is the water, the lye, and these three there. Okay? So I've got this clipped. First I have it in a plastic thing. I have it clipped, and you can hang it. Okay, let's hang it there. Oops. Sorry. So we'll hang it there so we can see it. I can't see it very well. This needs to be turned, I think. And then we're going to still have the same problem. Now it's going to be turned too far that way. Okay, so you're going to go in here. Touch the wrong thing. Let me put you and do it this way. I think this might be better. Okay, so first we're going to take our jar of water and put our water on here. We put it on there first, and then we turn it on. And then it should come to 0. Turn around. Okay, it should come to 0. Okay, we set it to 0. And now, according to our recipe, which we cannot see, it's going to work for me. Okay, it wants to have 861.82 of water. That's in grams. So let's see what we can do. Oh wait, is this in grams? Timer set unit. Let's start again.